नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री श्री राधा चिच्छ गोपीनाथ की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, हरिदास ठाकुर की संकीर्तन की जय। जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानंदना जय व्रज जनरंजना जय यशोदा नंदना जय व्रज जनरंजना जय यमुना तीर वनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना तीर वनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी। श्री श्री राधा माधव की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, कोटि वैष्णव की जय। This is a song by Surdas ji on Gajendra Moksha. There's a slight variation on the first refrain. And we're singing. Hey Govind, Hey Gopal, Hey Govind, Hey Gopal, Rakho Sharan हमारा अब तो जीवन हारे, अब तो जीवन हारे। हे गोविंद, हे गोपाल, राखो शरण हमारे। अब तो जीवन हारे, अब तो जीवन हारे। हे गोविंद, नीर पीवन हेतु गयो सिंधु के किनारे। नीर पीवन हेतु गयो सिंधु के किनारे। सिंधु बीच बसत ग्राग, सिंधु बीच बसत ग्राह, चरण धरि पचारे, चरण धरि पचारे। हे गोविंद, हे गोपाल, राखो शरण हमारे। अब तो जीवन हारे, अब तो जीवन हारे। हे गोविंदा, चार प्रहर युद्ध भयो, लाई गयो मंजधारे। चार प्रहर युद्ध भयो, लाई गयो मंजधारे। नाक कान डूबन लागे, नाक कान डूबन लागे, कृष्ण को पुकारे, कृष्ण को पुकारे। हे गोविंद, हे गोपाल, राखो शरण हमारे। अब तो जीवन हारे, अब तो जीवन हारे। हे गोविंदा, द्वारका में शबद भयो, शोर भयो बारे। द्वारका में शब्द भयो, शोर भयो बारे। शंख चक्र गदा पद्म, शंख चक्र गदा पद्म, गरुड़ले सिधारे। शंख चक्र गदा पद्म, गरुड़ले सिधारे। हे गोविंद, हे गोपाल, राखो शरण हमारे। अब तो जीवन हारे, अब तो जीवन हारे। हे गोविंदा, सूर कह श्याम सुनो, शरण है तिहारे। सूर कह श्याम सुनो, शरण है तिहारे। अब की बार पार करो, अब की बार पार करो, नंद के दुलारे। नंद के दुलारे, हे गोविंद हे गोपाल, राखो शरण हमारे, अब तो जीवन हारे, अब तो जीवन हारे, हे गोविंद हे गोपाल, हे गोविंद. Translation. O Lord of cows, Govinda. O protector of cows, Gopala. O Govinda, please protect me, for I have lost the battle of my life. For the sake of drinking water, I went to the banks of a river. In the middle of the river resides a crocodile. The crocodile grabbed my feet with his sharp teeth. I have battled with the crocodile for 4 hours, and he dragged in the middle of the river. As my nose and ears are being submerged into the water, I immediately call for Lord Krishna for help. My cry and words reached Dwarka, and as a result, great commotion and noise resulted. But at once, with his conch shell, chakra, his mace, and the lotus flower, he immediately comes by with his vehicle Garuda. Surdas says, O Lord Shama, please hear my humble request. I surrender to your lotus feet. Please deliver me, O darling of Nanda Maharaj. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. Such a mesmerizing kirtan. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So I'll start with the invocation prayers and then we can do the recap. Om Jnantimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raguna Tam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Prayers to Mahaprabhu. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratishe Namaha. O most magnificent incarnation, you are Krishna himself appearing as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden color of Srimati Radharani and you are widely distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangapanga Ishtraparshadam Yagnai Sankirtanam Prayer Yajanti Sumedasa. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead who constantly sings the name of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Prayers to the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. Nana Shastra Vicharanaikalipulu Sharadharma Samstapako Lokanam Hitkarino Tribhuvane Manyau Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Muttaliko Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyugau Shri Jiva Gopalako. I offered my respectful obeisances to the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all living beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds and are worth taking shelter because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devi Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Prabhupada. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So, with your permission, I'll start the recap of lesson 49. Please accept my humble obeisances. So, in the last class, Mataji did lesson 49. She started with the very beautiful pastime, Kaliya Daman. Kaliya Daman pastime is to be covered in 3 parts. This part 1 that she did in the last class. Then today she'll do part 2, which will be lesson 50. And on Sunday, she'll do part 3, which is lesson 51. Now here, the whole Kaliya Daman Leela are covered in 4 themes. In the first theme, Krishna subdues the serpent Kaliya. And then his wives Nagapatnis, they offer a very beautiful hymn, which will be covered in the theme 2. And then Kaliya surrenders to Lord Krishna. And in the end, Lord Krishna orders him to leave Vrindavan and go at once into the ocean. In lesson 49, Mataji covered part of chapter 15, which is verse 41 to 52, and part of chapter 16, which covered the first 18 verses. Now, let us start with the Kaliya Daman Leela. So, after killing the ass demon Dhenukasura with his friends, Balramji killed the demon and they all returned home. So, as Mataji said, there was a Vraja forest and there's a Vraja village. So, after the killing of Dhenukasura happened in Talavana, which is near Govardhana. And after that pastime, everybody returned back to the Vraja village. So everybody there was waiting for Krishna. So Lord Krishna came back, and a beautiful description is mentioned about him, about his beauty. So if anybody can tell me, how was Lord Krishna's beauty described in some words?
Read, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
And his hair, powdered with dust raised by the cows, was decorated with a peacock feather and forest flowers. His glance was charming. He smiled beautifully, playing upon his flute, and the covered voice chanted his glories.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. So as Mataji said that Krishna, the mothers had already decorated the boys and sent them to the forest for herding the cows. But after returning, Krishna had his own beauty. So the dust of the cows was, his hair was covered with the dust of the cows. Very beautiful forest flowers. Also mentioned that there was a manifestation of Kaishorya, which was uh, uh, revealed by the corners of his eyes, which had a reddish splendor, and he was playing his flute. So now everybody was desperately waiting for him to come back, especially the young gopis of Vrindavan. So, what was the reaction of the young gopis on seeing Krishna?
Young gopis were looking at the face of Krishna, and they were very submissive. Krishna was also charmfully looking at the gopis, and he was respecting the gopis' smile.
Thank you, Mataji. So the
Also,
young gopis,
Mataji
yes,
had given a very nice explanation on the exchange of this, how the sidelong glance goes and captures and like.
yeah.
So that was a very wonderful. I don't exactly remember that, but how that acts as a servant personification of all those exchanges. So that was very nicely explained. Thank you.
So the gopis were desperately waiting for Krishna, young gopis. Prabhuji mentioned that although they were just 6 years, but this was a part of Purva Bhasa, Purva Raga, sorry. And they cast, when they saw Krishna, they cast sidelong glances at him, and Krishna accepted that as an offering of respect. The gopis were very they were suffering pangs of separation, and when they saw Krishna, there was their eyes were filled with nectar, and they beheld the beauty of Krishna with their eyes, which was nectar to them. Also, Mataji described very beautifully that the sidelong glances were full of bashfulness, laughter, and submission. How Krishna reacted to their sidelong glances, he accepted them as offering of respect. Then, once they reached home, what did the mothers do when Krishna Balram returned home?
हाँ माता, जब
Yes,
वो
Lakshmi.
वापस आए, यशोदा माता और रोहिणी माता जी ने उन्हें बहुत प्रेम से आवकार किया, अपनी गोदी में बिठाया, उनके पैरों में मसाज किया, फिर उनको अच्छे से स्नान करवाया और बहुत अच्छे से भोजन खिलाए, और उन्होंने बहुत ही अच्छे से उनको सुलाने की कोशिश की, सुला दिया बेड पे.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. With this, we'll go to the slide 5. So here, it is the beginning of Kalyadaman Leela. After some days, Krishna again goes for herding the cows. So where does he go? With whom does he go? Without whom does he go? And what happens over there? So a new pastime is starting, which is Kalyadaman. So where does he go with his friends after some days?
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Mataji.
Okay. Go
Yes,
on, Mataji.
anyone. Harsha Mataji, are you there?
Yeah. He went to the banks of Kalindi to tend the cows.
To tend
And,
the cows. With
yeah.
whom does he go?
He went with the cowherd boys.
And this
And
time, with
cows.
who was missing? With him?
Baldevji.
Yeah,
His
he
elder
went with
brother.
his elder brother.
Without
Thank
his
you so
brother.
much.
Yeah.
Yes, anybody was saying something? Sanjeev Prabhuji? Okay. And then what happened over there? Anyone? Sanjeev
May I,
Prabhuji?
Mataji?
Yes, Rajkumar.
The
Yeah, go
cows
ahead.
and cowherd boys were very thirsty, so to drink water they went to the Kalindi river to take water. And as they drank, the cow and the boys drank water, they fell unconscious because the water was very poisonous due to Kalia's poison. Kalia's poison.
Yes.
Then they were scattered all animals around the banks of Kalindi, and
Yeah.
birds were. May I go further? Birds were
Yeah,
crying,
that's
and then all जो अपशगुन जो होते हैं वो सब होने लगे, और the village people knew that there is something wrong with Krishna, so
okay.
they
We'll come to
rushed
that
out.
part later, Mataji. So after that, once they became unconsciousness, what did Krishna do?
कृष्णा अपना glance, merciful glance उन पर देखा, then they became conscious.
Yeah. So this is what had happened. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Now, as I said that he went that day without Balramji. Why did he go without Balramji according to Sridhar Swami?
Because Balramji's birthday was on that day, and the two mothers wanted to bathe him with nicely with everything, and according to the stars, they wanted to bathe him with all the.
Yes, that was according to
Then
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And one more reason about
one more reason was that Krishna thought that if I go with Balram, then he will not allow me to go to Kalindi and to jump and all these activities. So he was suspecting, Krishna was suspecting, if Balram will be with me, then I will be unable to do all these things.
Yeah.
So
he would not allow me to get into the den of Kalia. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. So now here, yes.
Sorry.
Yes, Prabhuji.
They want to celebrate and appease the constellation, Vedic culture.
Yeah. That was mentioned by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentaries. So the boys were thinking, when they came back to life, we were dead now we are alive. What is going on? What is the secret of this? So then after pondering over it, they realized that this was the glance of Krishna, that they have come back to life, because they knew that Garga Muni had said that you all will easily overcome all the difficulties because of Krishna. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Here the Krishna now, because everybody fell unconscious and Krishna helped them to come back to life. Now Krishna wanted to purify Yamuna river, and because it was full of poison of Kalia. So what did he do?
Yeah, Mother, I'll just he saw the. You want to go ahead, Mataji?
No.
So Lord sees that gopas and cows are kind of dead, so he want to cleanse the pool. That's why he climbed down the kadamba tree and jumped into the river, basically to eliminate the Kalia who was spreading the poison there.
Yes. So he jumped into it and he started playing like a mad elephant in the lake of Kalia. And Kalia could not tolerate this trespassing of Krishna. What did he do immediately? What did Kalia do?
Bit him on his chest.
He bit him angrily on his chest. And Lord Krishna, as the Gopas, saw that Kalia bit him, and they again fell unconscious on the ground. So when at that time, all the inauspicious omens started happening, like the earthquakes and the stars were falling and the creatures were trembling with their left limbs. So now the lake was where Kalia was there. There's a particular location given in Yamuna. Where was this lake exactly? According to Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. It's
It was
mentioned here.
towards the south,
Yes.
and one yojan length.
Yeah, the length of the lake was 1 yojana, and it was in the south of Yamuna river, and the flows of Yamuna were untouched by this particular lake.
Current flow. It was untouched by the current flow.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. And then when Kalia attacked Krishna, what did Krishna do?
He broke his fangs, and also, he jumped over him and he broke his fangs. When he bit Kalia, when Kalia bit Krishna on chest, he broke his fangs.
Yeah. This was described as the Lord kissing him on various body parts, and then he imprisoned Lord Krishna in a firm embrace. So Lord Krishna was inside the coil of Kalia, which was shown in the picture in the earlier slide.
Mhm.
Okay, so again, seeing that the cowherd boys and everybody, they were they fell unconscious on the ground. So obviously, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Vrindavan, there is no question of inauspiciousness in Vrindavan and in relation to Lord. So why these manifestation of omens were described? Bad omens were described. It's mentioned that these manifestation of bad omens is just to evoke grief in the cows and the cowherd boys. So let us come to the second last slide of this lesson. So here, when everybody, so due to the bad omens, the whole village was in grief, and they lamented, and they thought that, Krishna has died. Why did they think so?
Should I share, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu.
Because their love for Krishna was so strong that they thought of him as their own, and they were unaware of his great power and opulence. They were not in the Aishwarya Bhav, but the pure, Prema Bhakti.
Yeah.
That's why
Correct.
they were always like protective of him, possessive of him.
Yes. Right. So here 3 reasons have been given. One is that particular day they were aware that he went without his elder brother, Vina Ramena. And then they were unaware of his power and opulence. Aishwaryam praptam etat vidaha. And also because of the bad omens, dur nimittaya, they concluded that Krishna is no more. And they were overwhelmed with lot of grief and lamentation and started rushing towards the forest to find him, in search of Krishna. Krishna darshena lalasaha. They went searching for him towards Yamuna. So let us come to the last part of this lesson. So here they are going to search for Krishna, and they all hurried towards that. How did which path they were following to search Krishna?
They were just following Krishna's footprints.
They were
They're just-
following Krishna. Yeah.
Usually when we search for somebody, we just follow some identity, what they were, having on their feet, or, if they lost something. So we follow that footmarks.
Yeah, they were following the footprints of Lord Krishna. And here, when the whole village was grieving, Balramji kept quiet and he was smiling. What made him smile?
Because he is aware
He
of
know.
Krishna
Go ahead.
and
Go ahead.
his power, great power.
Yeah. Yes, Mataji. Lalita Priya Mataji.
Because he's fully aware of Krishna's power, because Balramji is expansion of Krishna. So he knows
Hmm.
what Krishna is. Even though he takes a child's form, Balramji surely knows that nothing can harm Krishna.
Yeah.
And
Balramji is
also,
aware. Yes, yes, Prabhu.
and also he's just thinking that like he never played with me like this. So even though Balaram is a Seshnaga, but he's playing with this another snake, like a mundane snake. So this is all going in his mind, and he was just smiling. Mataji. Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Mataji. So now here it's also mentioned in Srila Prabhupada's purpose that why did Krishna and Balrama made their most beloved devotees suffer this particular anguish? What was the reason given by Srila Prabhupada in his purport regarding this? The Brajvasis were very dear to Lord Krishna. Why did Krishna and Balram made them suffer this grief? Yes, Rajkumari Mataji, you were saying something.
Krishna was surrounded by the coils of Kalia.
Hmm.
So to see him, all were very shocked and very fearful.
Yeah.
And
why did they made them suffer so much?
Because the ecstasy
उनका
was
प्रेम
high.
बढ़ाने के लिए,
हाँ,
ज्यादा से ज्यादा उनका प्रेम बढ़े, उसके लिए उन्होंने ये ग्रीफ दिया उनको.
Sri Prabhupada has mentioned that this particular thing should be seen with not in a mundane point of view, but from a spiritual point of view. That although Krishna was in danger, but their love for him at that particular point came to a highest degree, and they completely got merged into that ecstasy of love, which is mentioned by Srila Prabhupada in his purport. And last, Mataji concluded with a very, very beautiful point, the take-home message, that why, like, the footprints were of everyone, all the creatures, cows, cowherds, but Krishna's footprints remained intact. It was not brushed by any other footprint. It was nobody overstepped his footprint. What is the answer for that?
the British people thought it is very great treasure, very ornaments of the earth.
The answer is indicated in a word. Which is that word? And what is the
Vishpati.
meaning of Vishpati?
Vishpati,
Which is?
master of the cowherd community.
Yeah, he is Vishpati. He's the master of the cowherd community, and his footprints are great treasures for each and every living being and the inhabitants of Vraja. And they treasure his footprints. So no creature in Vrindavan will ever walk upon Lord Krishna's footprints. So very beautiful class taken by Archana Mataji. We are looking forward for the next nectar. Over to you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much for the wonderful recap. Thank you, Lalita Priya Mataji, for the wonderful kirtan. My obeisances to Charu Prabhu and Sharad Prabhu and all the devotees assembled here. So I will begin my class with your blessings. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhate girinyat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. So I will be sharing slides today. Hare Krishna. So today's episode, we are going to do lesson 50. So as you see in the slide, today's episode is lesson 50, which is coming in two parts. In part 2, we are going to see how Krishna subdues Kaliya. And the next is part 1 of the second portion from the Nagapatni's prayers. We are doing the first portion of that. So we are doing two parts. One part is Krishna subduing of Kaliya, and the second part is the Nagapatni's prayers, the first part of it. So this is what we are going to do in today's lesson. So let us begin. So we heard from last class that all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, the village, they were hurrying along the path to the bank of the Yamuna river. And they saw from a distance that Krishna was in the lake, in the Yamuna lake, in that Kaliya lake. And he was motionless. And he was within the coils of the black serpent. So not only was he coiled, but he was also not moving at all. So they further saw that all the boys had fainted. They had fallen all unconscious, and all the animals were all standing all around that lake, and they were crying out for Krishna. So you can see that piteous picture. Seeing all this, what happens to the residents of Vrindavan? They become overwhelmed with grief. They become overwhelmed with anguish, and they become overwhelmed with confusion. What is happening? How is this even possible? Srila Sanatana Goswami is saying that the people, they saw the cowherd boys are unconscious, Mudha Dishanan, and they scattered all over the path of the bank of the river, of that lake, or the Parita or the banks. And the lake was a little over 1 yojana in breadth. And the boys were scattered on the different areas, that is the east side of the lake, south and west. I presume from the north they were approaching, that is all the Rajvasis. And they saw that the animals were crying intensely. Sankrandataha. So they were crying so intensely. So when the animals cry out, it's really very heart touching. When you see these cows and all, when they really cry in pain, you can feel the pain. It is that very intense. And they were all around the lake, and all these animals, unlimited animals, they had gathered to see Krishna and play, and they all had gathered now to see Krishna within the coils of the Kaliya serpent and crying out. And they were crying out. They were crying out piteously. Then the cowherds, when they saw that the boys were unconscious and the animals were crying, this is very emphasized by the two cha words, the cha and the cha. You see in this shloka, which I will chant now, Antarhridhe bhujaga bhoga parita tarat krishnam niriham upalabhya jalashayante gopamscha mudha dishanam parita pashumscha sankrandata paramak kashmalam apurartaha. So there is gopamscha and pashumscha. So there are two cha. The first cha represents all the boys, and the second cha indicates that there were birds crying as well. That means pashums, not only the animals surrounding, but also the birds in the sky also were crying. Because gopams cha, that means and the gopas were crying, and the animals and what? Animals and birds, like that. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura is saying that he is very graphically showing how these people had come on the banks, and they all were their children, right? Those who had fainted on the banks. So they were telling, hey children, tell us what happened. Did Krishna fall into the water by mistake? He just slipped and fell? Or because Kaliya pulled him, did Kaliya pull him, like when he was playing on the banks and Kaliya came out and he pulled him inside? Or did Krishna dive from the bank? Did he fall inside the river by himself? And if he did so, did he do that by his own will? Or did anyone of y'all instruct him to do it? Like go and get the ball or something like that? Noticing that the boys were actually unconscious. They were unable to respond because they were not even conscious. and they were not capable of answering them. So when they saw this, Nanda Baba and all the Vrajavasis, they became shocked and they were in state of a panic, saying, now what to do now? Now it's their turn to become unconscious. So when the young gopis, whose minds were constantly attached to Krishna, now we are talking about the other set of people, not only the Vrajavasis, but also the Vrajagopis, the young gopis who had left their Balya Leela behind and who have come to, also like the boys left their Kaumara Leela behind, came to Pauganda. Similarly, the gopis are now having this Purva Raga. So when we heard about this Purva Raga in our last class, we were wondering, how is it? No, the gopis were not meeting with Krishna yet. This is before the actual meeting, face-to-face, talking, speaking. Before that, what happened? This is Purva Raga. Purva Raga means before even meeting, just the eyes are meeting now. Only everything is going on in the language of the eyes. So when these young gopis, but they had already given their hearts to Krishna, and these gopis, their minds were constantly attached to Krishna's unlimited, to Krishna, and who was the unlimited Lord. And they saw that now this unlimited Lord is within the grips of this silly serpent. This serpent, they remembered. What did they remember? At this point of time, they were remembering his loving friendship, how his smiling glances and his talks with them through his glances only. And then burning with the great sorrow, they saw that the entire universe as void. That happens. Shunyaitam Jagat Sarvam. So what did Mahaprabhu say? Mahaprabhu said in his Shikshashtakam, right? Without you, Govinda Virahena me, without Govinda, this entire world is like a void. Shunyaitam. Like that, it happened for the gopis also. So they were totally thinking that what is the use now? This universe is nothing, there's nothing, because our universe is Krishna. And if our universe is now being captured by this serpent, and our universe is like motionless, our universe is in danger, then without this, what is the universe now? There is no universe. So the entire universe is void now. So specifically now, the young gopis' condition is described, and Sridhar Swami, he is saying that universe is being separated from them. Their dear one is being separated from them. And thus, the gopis saw the world to be vacant because of grief. So they couldn't find anything worthwhile in this world. So Sanatana Goswami is saying everything took on the form of grief for their beloved too. So Krishna was full of power. Krishna is full of power. He is Bhagavati and without destruction, Anante. He is without destruction. So how was it? He was actually inseparable from his devotees, isn't it? He cannot be separated from it is his wish. If he wants, he cannot be separated from his devotees. Thus, it was impossible that he could be held by Kaliya. But that means willfully he had let himself be trapped in Kaliya's coil. So why was this? It was because of their prema for him, that the gopis were filled with grief and did not recognize his Aishwarya. The gopis, they were completely absorbed in prema for their Lord, and they knew that Krishna was seen in the previous verse. They are saying he is the unlimited supreme Lord, like Bhagavati Anante. They knew it, that he was Bhagavati Anante. He was full of power. He was without destruction. He was inseparable from his devotees. But all this was his Aishwarya, and the gopis were filled with grief. They did not recognize his Aishwarya. So the significance of Priyatame is there. What is that? The most dear one to them. He was so dear that it totally covered their vision from his Aishwarya. So their minds were constantly attracted to him. Anurakta Manaso. Anurakta Manaso means the minds were constantly being attracted to him. They were pulled towards him. And their universe was devastated because of Krishna's condition. Priya Yathiratam. What is happening? Vyatiratam means what has happened to our beloved? What is happening to our beloved? They remembered his loving words, glances, and smiles arising from his prema. And tat sauhridasmita viloka gira smarantyaha. So they were remembering all these loving pastimes, which we kind of a little covered in our previous class. So they were remembering all this. So we go to the next part where, so the elder gopis, what is happening to the elder gopis? They were feeling just as much distress as Yashoda. She is here, Yashoda. As she, and were pouring forth a flood of sorrowful tears, and they had to forcibly hold back Krishna's mother, whose consciousness was totally absorbed in her son. So now what is happening? Mother Yashoda is absorbed completely, just like the gopis are absorbed in their own way. Mother Yashoda in the Vatsalya mood is completely absorbed, and she is just walking, you can say like a zombie like that, walking towards the lake, and tears are flowing from their eyes. They cannot see properly. The elder gopis also are in the same mood. Their eyes are also filled with tears. Tears are pouring forth, but they have another job to do. They have to hold back forcibly Mother Yashoda. Otherwise, she will also enter the poisoned lake. So, although they were crying, although they were in that uncontrollable, sorrowful tears were coming out from their eyes, they had to pull her back. They had to hold her back. And finally, when they managed to do that, they were all standing like corpses with their eyes fixed upon his face. That means they were stand still like a picture. They couldn't move at all. They didn't move at all. They didn't bat their eyelids. They were just looking transfixed upon his face. And these gopis each took turns in recounting the pastimes of the darling of Vraja. So even in that mood, even though they were like in that condition, pitiable condition, sorrowful condition, still what were they doing? They were recounting the pastimes of Krishna. So this is a lesson to be learned. When we are in danger, when we are in sorrow, when we are troubled by anything, and we are at the edge of our life, like almost like dying, at that time, what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to recount the pastimes of Krishna. So this is a lesson we should take back. So what is Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura is saying? Taha means those ladies, the other elderly cowherd gopis, the friends of Mother Yashoda, whose consciousness was totally fixed on her son. Yashoda Mata's concentration was apatyam anupravishtam. That means her consciousness was completely, there was no disturbance at all for her. Her whole soul was also looking only towards her son. So their anguish was similar to hers. But after they continuously held her firmly back, samanugrahya, then while releasing as a form of a flow of tears, Shravantayaha, that means tears of grief, Shuchaha, and narrating those various topics consisting of, okay, your son, Mother Yashoda, they were telling Mother Yashoda, see, your son protected us from Putana, from Aghasura, from Vatsasura, from Bakasura. This is how they were killed, and all that. Topics about his heroism. Don't worry, he is such a wonderful child. He will definitely overcome this. This is nothing. This is just a water snake. Don't worry. The sense is that many of those kind of big scoundrels, big demons were killed. So what is this wild serpent in the form in comparison to them? He will liquidate him in no time, and then he will come back. And they were narrating these topics to pacify his mother. And that is dear to Vraja. That is Vraja Priya Katha, all the Krishna Katha, which was so dear to the Vrajavasis. They were narrating to her, and they were also keeping their eyes riveted on Krishna's face. So although they were talking to Mother Yashoda, they were holding her back, but their eyes were riveted on Krishna's face. Krishna nane arpita drisho. Their eyes were arpita, their eyes were offered to the anane of the face of Krishna. Afterwards, they became similar to corpses, mritaka pratikaha. They became almost like dead. So then what happened? Then Lord Balaram then saw that Nanda and the other cowherd men who had dedicated their very lives to Krishna were beginning to enter the serpent's lake. Now was the danger, because mothers had held back Yashoda Maya, but now the Nanda Baba and the cowherd men all were going inside the lake. They were trying to save Krishna from the coils of Kaliya. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead Balaram, he knew fully well that Lord Krishna's actual power, he is the Supreme Lord. He cannot be hurt in any way unless he wants to show that he is being hurt or whatever. But he cannot be. So therefore he restrained them. He said, you please do not enter the lake. So Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami says that here Saha means he, that is Balaramji, who was made to leave the house by Krishna to protect the people. So why Krishna did not take Balaramji with him on this day? Because he wanted that he go alone so that Balaramji was around to protect the people. Otherwise, the people would also have jumped inside the lake. So he is famous for his affection for his friends and saw that the cowherds headed by Nanda Maharaj were attempting to enter the lake together. Nirvishato Nandadin Vikshatam Hridam. Viksha means to see, Nandadin means Nanda and all the others. So they were going to go to Kaliya Hrida. They were going inside the lake. After having recovered their senses after some time, how was it possible for him to prevent everyone from entering? So that is a question. How is it that Balaramji, one little boy, how could he prevent all the cowherd boys and Nanda Maharaj to enter the lake? That means he was empowered, endowed with all the power. He was empowered. He was a Bhagavan. So here the verse in the Krishna Prana Nirvishato Nandadin Vikshatam Hridam Pratyashedhat Sa Bhagavan Rama Krishna Anubhavavit. So that is Pratyashedhat Sa Bhagavan. Sa Bhagavan. Saha means Balaram, Bhagavan means Bhagavan Ramaha. Bhagavan Ramaha is Balaramji. So he was Bhagavan. He had all the power. So he could prevent. So he gave pleasure, Ramaha, to all by his good counsel. He was by his show of strength and by showing that Krishna was safe. How did he show that? By his smiling face. If he was also worried, looking worried and depressed, nobody would have believed him. But because he was smiling, and therefore they all were thinking, yes, Krishna actually killed so many demons. So maybe Krishna is also able to come out of this by himself. So why did he remain undisturbed in this situation? Because he was Krishna Anubhavavit. With means knowledge. So he had this knowledge. He knew the powers of Krishna who was the Parabrahman. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that Balaramji's reasoning to Nanda is that Gargacharya said that you will be saved from all obstacles by this sun. Yes. So keeping this in mind, don't you think that Krishna will get released from this danger? Gargacharya has told. So just be patient. If you all jump into the river and drown, then who will maintain and raise Krishna when he comes back? Krishna is definitely going to come back. Gargacharya will never tell them false. So when he comes back, then who is going to raise him? Because you all are going to jump into the river. You are going to drown. And then who will look after him? Not only that, you will be neglecting Gargacharya's order to take care of the boy as well. So Gargacharya had ordered them, you must take care of Krishna. So who will do that? And you will be now neglecting his order. So he is now very nicely, he is giving so many points for them so that they will not go inside the lake. They will be little pacified. Krishna remained for some time within the serpent, coils of the serpent. Actually, some time is actually the total is one prahara of 48 minutes. It's not some time, but it's like a lot of time in the sense the Vrajavasis were feeling that kind of intense pleasure, or you can say separation, and intense what we learned in the last class also, why Srila Prabhupada said that this should be seen in the spiritual way, is that because of that intense separation, that intense prema was being is growing and growing and growing in their hearts. 48 minutes, imitating the behavior of an ordinary mortal. So an ordinary child, when he's totally tightly in the clasped in the coils of a serpent, what will be the position of that child? So he was acting like that. He was imitating the behavior. But when he understood that the women, children, and other residents, now they were in acute distress. Now their limit is going to be crossed. Now they're going to really leave their lives because of their love for him and their only shelter and the goal of life. So he thought that now they're going to give up their lives. At that moment, he immediately rose up from the bonds of Kaliya serpent. So Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Srila Swami, what do they say? They say that seeing himself, Niriksha, who had no other option in this way, Itham, and therefore understanding Ajnaya, that his own community, Swagokulam, Sastri Kumaram, that means entire community of Gokula with the Stri, that is the women, and Kumaram and the boys, they were extremely distressed, Ati Dukkhitam, because of him, Atmaheto, because of him, having accepted him as their protector. They have accepted him as a protector and he himself is in the bondage. Then how is it possible? So because of that, he immediately arose from the bondage of the serpent. What he did, he accepted that he was the cause of their suffering, particularly disturbed by the suffering of women like Sri, that is like Yashoda, and the young boys like Sridama. All these are Kumaras, although they are now not Kumaras already, Pauganda, but still in that the young boys, they can be called as Kumaras. So understanding that Gokul should be protected, then he understood that I should protect my Vrajavasis. So he could not tolerate the sufferings of the others by his own nature. Until now, he was letting them to see him, so to increase their prema towards him. And now he's seeing that they are completely suffering. So now he said, no, I will not allow my Vrajavasis to suffer. So showing these human pastimes, Martya Padavim Anuvartamanaha, or showing to the people Kaliya's fault by punishing him and remaining for another one moment, Sitva Muhurtam, in the snake's coil. So he was in one Muhurtam in the snake's coil. He was 48 minutes, which is one Muhurtam. Uranga Bandhat. Uranga Bandhat means in the coils of the snakes. And he quickly freed himself. After that, he quickly freed himself. He simply followed the world's custom of being unable to free himself from a loving embrace. This is another beautiful point where he is in the material world also. Our custom is that we feel if we are being lovingly embraced by someone, that is our near and dear one is lovingly embracing us, we will feel ourselves unable to free ourselves from that loving embrace, isn't it? So this he was trying to follow all this while. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, hey Kaliya, you made me see everything about your prowess. Now I, though a little boy of a coward, I'm going to show you a fraction of my prowess. Like saying like this, Krishna now started to expand. What happened when Krishna expanded? All this while, Kaliya was putting pressure on Krishna with his coils. And now when Krishna was expanding his body, he was putting pressure on Kaliya's coils. So what is happening to Kaliya's coils? His coils were tormented by expanding body of the Lord. And Kaliya had to release him. There was no choice. Because if he had tried to put more pressure, actually the pressure was on himself. He felt the pressure on himself, and he's now going to feel the pressure so much so that he's going to think that his entire body is going to be ruptured. So immediately he released Krishna. In great anger, then the serpent then raised his hooves high and stood still, breathing heavily. So what was his breathing? His breathing His nostrils are appearing like vessels for cooking poison. So huge pots of poison. That was his nostrils, like huge pots of poison. And he was breathing through that. And his staring eyes in his face were like firebrands. So his eyes were like moving, like as if there was fire in his eyes. Thus the serpent looked at the Lord. This is an envious serpent. He is now going to see this beauty of the Krishna and he is going to get more and more angry. Sridhar Swami is saying that the snakes whose body was pained by Krishna's body. Snake's body pained by Krishna's body. All the time the snake was thinking Krishna's body is going to be pained by my body. But the opposite is happening. Pratyamana Vapusha, which was becoming larger and larger and larger and loosened his coils and let go of him. Tyaktva, and he was very angry, Kupita, and he raised his hoods, breathed, and kept staring. How was the snake? He had poison in the opening of his nostrils. So his eyes are like red hot, like stiff like frying pans. And he in whose mouth are firebrands. So like Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami is saying that this verse describes how Krishna is releasing himself. Kaliya has become fatigued by Krishna's slight expanding of his body. Krishna didn't do much. He just slightly expanded his body, but Kaliya became fatigued. So that is the difference. And the snake's coils began to ache as if being torn apart. So his coils he found, I cannot tolerate it anymore. And the word Atma indicates that Kaliya identified with his body and thus felt extreme pain. And Krishna's body was bound tightly by the coils, isn't it? And when Krishna expanded his body, the snake began to breathe loudly because of anger arising from pain which inflicted on his coils. So his nostrils were filled with poison, and thus by breathing heavily, what did he release? He released more poison. So the lake was already poisonous. Now it became more poisonous. And then his nostrils were like pots of poison and his glances were red and filled with poison. And he released the flames of poison from his mouth. Everywhere was poison. Ulmukha mukhaha. The descriptions portray more poisonous aspects of the snakes than the previous ones. So the snake, he glared at Krishna, who was eager to take away Kaliya's residence. Harim. Actually, Kaliya thought he's going to now attack me, take away my residence, because this is the only residence which Kaliya could stay in. We will see that in Kaliya's story later on. So this is one and only residence Krishna is going to take away. So he was getting even more angrier. And then Harim is also meant to remove his bad qualities, actually, not to take away his residence. The real meaning is that the snake did not feel the pain. Avyathita, he was angry out of affection because Krishna quickly separated from his embrace. So this is another way of looking at it. Like the Rasika Vaishnavas, they see that he was not feeling pain because that Krishna expanded. He was only angry because Krishna came out of his sweet embrace, from his loving embrace. So he looked at Krishna because Krishna was most attractive and his heavy breathing was a sattvika bhava. His nostrils holding pots of poison in his mouth emitting flames are natural qualities of the snake. So this is another way of looking at it. Rasika Vaishnavas also see it in this way. Isn't it so sweet? So do we take a break or should we continue? Charu Prabhu, Sharad Prabhu, should we continue or should we take a break?
What others are saying, it's up to you or not. What others are you okay? Continue?
Yes, Prabhuji. You can.
Yes, Prabhuji, we want to continue.
Okay, thank you. Because the presentation is a bit long, so I thought let me.
The rasas are really, you are increasing the rasas, you know. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Everybody's in it now.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, here we see Krishna is coming out of the coils of Kaliya. Again and again, What was Kalia doing? He was licking his lips. His snake's tongues are actually bifurcated. They're in two parts like this. So he was licking his lips with these bifurcated tongues, and he was staring at Krishna with a glance full of terrible poisonous fire. So imagine how many hoods did Kalia have? He had 100 prominent hoods. That means he is a 1,000 hooded snake, which we'll see in the shloka number 30. Right now we are doing 25. So this Kalia Daman Leela, this Krishna subduing Kalia, this comes out from 25 to 30. So in the 30th verse, we will see that he had 1,000 hoods. So out of his 1,000 hoods, his prominent hoods were 100. So from these hoods, he was throwing poison. He was looking at Krishna with a poisonous fire. But Krishna was what he did. He came out of the coils, isn't it? You see Krishna coming out of the coil in this picture, beautiful picture. When he came out of this coil.
Just 1 minute. Mataji, forgive me for interruptions, but here something to think about it. Remember, in the earlier description, we heard that the snake was so poisoned that just by his poison, vapors of the poison, the birds flying up in the sky, they used to fall down dead, okay? And here, there's another thing to notice, that this clearly proves that Krishna's body is not any of the kind that we have, material bodies, because that kind of poison, and so many times Kali had already bitten him, and nothing happened to him. He's still there, So that itself tell you that his body is not made of material elements, It's all transcendental. His body and soul, there's no difference in that, Because otherwise, an ordinary human being with such poisonous vapors and poisons are dripping all over him, and nothing is happening to him. So just that itself should convince all of us that look at Krishna's body is all spiritual.
Yes, wonderful. Yes, Krishna's body is all spiritual, and this is the proof. So Krishna not only was in the coils of Kalia for 48 minutes, but he was also facing the poisonous breath of Kalia and his firebrand eyes. So now what was Krishna doing? Krishna, he came out of the coil. You see him coming out of the coils in the picture, very beautiful picture. He's coming out of the coils, he's throwing away the coils and coming out. And once he came out, what he did was, he playfully circled around the snake, around Kalia. That means like the Kalia was there, and then Krishna was circling around him in the waters. He was just circling, and not very slowly, no, he was circling very fast. He was circling so fast. He was like, and Kalia, he was so angry, he wanted to bite the Lord. And the Lord was circling. And so Kalia also started circling to catch the Lord and bite him. But he could not do so. But Krishna was playfully circling around him, just as Garuda would play with a snake. So we have seen how the birds, the Garudas or the eagles, and how they don't kill the snake right away. They just take the snake and they play with it. They play with it. They let him loose for a while, then again go and snatch it, and then they throw it here and there. And this way they make the snake totally lifeless. So like that, he was playing with Kalia. In response, Kalia also moved about, looking for an opportunity to bite the Lord. So let us see the Goswami's comments. When Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami, Kalia was repeatedly licking both corners of his two lips. So, parile lihanam dve sripvani. All around, dve means two. His tongue was bifurcated in two. And all around, simultaneously with his forked tongue, though it is the nature of the snakes to do so out of intense anger. So if ever we will not see snakes, but we see in the videos and all that, we see sometimes the snakes, cobra, they show the cobra snake and they show the tongue coming out. When we see the tongue coming out, we should know that it's an intense anger. He now did this. He was licking his lips with his tongue. And extreme ghastliness is implied by that. Therefore, Ati Karala, dreadful, is there in the repetition. We see here, Tam Jivvaya Dvishikaya Parilelihanam Dvesrikvani Hati Karala Vishagni Drishtim. Vishagni, Visha means poison, Agni means fire. This is fireful poison. His drishtim means from his eyes he was throwing fireful poison. Kridannamum parisasara yatha khagendro. Khagendro means Garuda. So how Garuda is Kridan, he's playing with all the snakes like that. Babhramaso pivasaram prasamikshamanaham. That's how Krishna was now making fun of him. So like the analogy of Garuda playing with a snake is given, Yatha Khagendro Babhrama, as an example of fun and quickness. That is, Garuda is also very sharp and very quick. The snakes are very fast, they just can move with lightning speed. And Garuda is even more faster, and he can play with those snakes which are running for their lives. If ordinary snakes are fast, what to say of a snake who is running for his dear life? He must be very fast, and Garuda is even faster than that. So this was displayed by Krishna. He was so fast that he was circling Kaliya. And when you play this in Deepavali, you play something called as a, I don't know what to say it in English, the firecracker which goes circling around.
Fuljadi.
Fuljadi. But how do they say it in English? I don't know. So that Fuljadi, we do it like this, right? We play and we just make it. So what happens when we move it around? We see only one circle of fire, isn't it? Krishna was like that. He was moving round and round, and Kaliya could see Krishna everywhere, like a circle. So where is he going to bite? Whom is he going to bite? So he was also very confused. So it's a very beautiful example. So Kaliya too, for his part, at every step, carefully looked for an opportunity to bite Krishna. So Pyavasaram, he was looking for an avasaram, he was looking for an opportunity. Prasamikshamana, so he was looking very carefully. Where to bite him? But the Lord was moving around in opposite circles, and his agility frustrated Kaliya to succeed. So Kaliya could not succeed in biting him, because Krishna was so agile, so fast, that he was moving like a Fuljadi. Then, having severely depleted the serpent's strength with his relentless circling. So Krishna was constantly circling like this, going round and round, and the Kaliya also was going round and round. And what happened to Kaliya? Finally, he was exhausted. He was totally exhausted. Can you imagine somebody is going round and round and round and round the circles? What will happen to him? He'll fall in a swoon. He'll be exhausted. So Shri Krishna, the origin of everything, he pushed down now Kaliya's raised shoulders. Now Kaliya was exhausted, and then he was raising his hoods, but totally exhausted. Now Krishna said, okay, enough. Now I'm going to climb on top of your shoulders or your hoods. So he mounted on his broad serpentine heads. So his hoods were not narrow or small. His hoods were broad. And there were hundreds of them. So Krishna mounted his heads. Now, Lord Krishna is the original master of all fine arts. Now he begins to dance. Now his lotus feet deeply reddened by the touch of the numerous jewels upon the serpent's heads. Now let us see this beautiful purports, where Sridhar Swami is saying that Kaliya's vigor ended just by moving around in this manner. So all his vigor which Kaliya had all ended just by his moving round and round and round, and causes his two shoulders raised. Two shoulders in the sense his hoods. Each hood is like compared to these two shoulders which are raising up. So evam paribhrama hataujasam unnatamasam. So what is happening to him? Unnatamasam means raised. Hataujasam means he's totally exhausted and he's raising his shoulders because of that. So Krishna's lotus feet were exceedingly reddish due to touching the multitude of jewels on Kalia's heads. Tan murdha ratna nikara sparshati ati tamra pada ambujaha. Tamra means reddish, pada means lotus feet, ambuja means lotus. So like lotus feet are becoming reddish. Ati tamra, become very reddish. Why? Because tan murdha means head, ratna nikara means his jewels on his head. Why did he dance on the heads that were moving to and fro? Shukha Dev Goswami answers, because he's the primeval teacher of all arts. Akhila Kala Adi Guru Nartana. He is doing Nartana. He is doing Nartana on the heads of a moving snake, which is moving to and fro. So his dancing platform is not only moving, his dancing platform is also slippery. His dancing platform is also not straight, it's like a hood. So what is it proving with all this? With all this is proving that he's an expert dancer. He's the primeval teacher of dance. And then he is showing to all the Vrajavasis, look how beautifully I can dance, especially the young gopis. So he is going to now steal their hearts with his beautiful dance. So though Kalia was fatigued from Krishna circling him, his shoulders were still raised, and therefore Krishna lowered them. Now he was going to teach him a lesson of humility. Now Kalia's head was very broad, so it was suitable for him to dance, like a dancing arena. But dancing on his head is revealing Krishna's beauty. Why? Because his absorption in his dancing and his skill. Two things: absorption in dancing, that means he's enjoying. It's not that he's trying to do some great effort. Like when we learn dance, we do practice for hours together, and that is actually very strenuous and efforts. I've heard people who do practices for hours together, and they're so exhausted by the end of the day. But here Krishna is absorbed in his dancing. He's Akhila Kaladi Guru. So he is a guru of, he doesn't need to do any practice, and he's absorbed in his skill also. He has such a beautiful skill. We'll see in the next slide how it is his dancing is compared to Bharatnatyam. Okay, this hints at the great auspiciousness for Kalia having a guru. Later more will be explained. We will see more in the next slide. And here, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he's talking about Harivamsha. He says that with one hand, Krishna was able to push down Kalia's raised head, and which had gradually become tired from his relentless circling. So when Krishna was circling like this, and Kalia became too tired, so with his one hand, he could just push down his raised head. And G. Goswami also remarks like this. And mounting, that's how he mounted on the snake's broad heads. So he just pushed down one head with his hand, and he jumped on his raised heads. And Krishna began to dance, and his remarkable dancing skill was meant to please the young gopis. As I said, young gopis were the actual audience who at this stage of their relationship were seriously falling in love, Purva Raga, with him. So when we saw this point over here, when we saw that Krishna's lotus feet were exceedingly reddish. So, and we will just see a little bit more on this, how that when we see this Kuchipudi dance or Bharatnatyam dance, what do the dancers do? Especially in Kuchipudi, you see that the dancers, they use these plates and this broad platters, and then they put their 2 feet on the plates, and then they show their expertise in dancing. But Krishna is the guru of all arts, right? He was dancing on Kalia's hoods, and he was showing to these Purva Raga gopis that how they were falling in love with Krishna even before meeting him. So this was for the first time they were seeing him dance like this, and they have not yet actually met him and talked to him and had association with him yet. It was only through their eyes that he's now he is going to show them that he is a connoisseur of all arts. So Baldev Vidyabhushan, he is also saying that in Krishnashtottara there is one name because Krishna has 108 names. So in these 108 names, in Krishna Ashtottara, there is one name, Kalya Phanimanikya Ranjita Padambujaya Namaha. So Baldev Vidyabhushan is saying that he was delighted by the jewels on his hoods, which were offered by Kalya to his lotus feet. So this is also one meaning of that. But also that, you know, Krishna's lotus feet are so soft and tender, and Kalya's hoods, these jewels on his hoods were very hard. So when Krishna was dancing, his lotus feet were touching these hard jewels on his heads, and his lotus feet were becoming more and more and more reddish. This is also explained. Then here, seeing the Lord dancing, his servants in the heavenly planets, Gandharva, Siddhas, sages, Charanas, and the wives of the demigods, they came there. Immediately they arrived. And with great pleasure, they also began to accompany the Lord's dancing by playing drums, such as mridangas, panavas, anakas, and they also made many offerings of songs and flowers and prayers. So this is the Shloka 27. Here we see how Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami say that Shukadev Goswami is talking about the paraphernalia used for the joy of dancing. Now Krishna was dancing and he was saying Tathai, Tathai, and he was dancing. He was saying himself. He was uttering these words himself. That is the Goswamis are saying. Devasi was saying Tathai, Tathai. We see in the next when Vishwanath Chakravarti's comments come. So before that, Tada means right at that moment. Tadiya means Krishna's associates like Garuda and all. And the others are in the list are from Swargaloka. Who are they? They are the Gandharvas. They are those could be residents of Vaikuntha. Then there are Charanas. Charanas, what do? They play beautiful instruments. Gandharvas, what do? They sing beautifully. Devas and their wives, what do? They shower flowers. And Apsaras, they also shower flowers. Actually, Apsaras, they should be dancing, isn't it? But no, they don't dance because the Supreme Master is dancing. Who will look at their dance? So they were showering flowers. They did not dance. When Krishna was dancing, they did not dance. And the Siddhas, they offered various fragrance and perfume powders. And the sages, they offered their beautiful prayers. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that Krishna danced first, even without musical accompaniment. He was personally calling out syllables such as thai, thai, tat thai, like that, to imitate the sound of musical instrument because nobody was there at that time. So then all this came, these Charanas came, Das, Gandharvas, all they came and they started to dance they started to sing and play musical instruments to give Krishna company. So the impression is given that Krishna, upon seeing the young gopis, was considering, we will meet together to dance like this someday in future. That is the rasa dance. And the word nartum is a substitute for the word nartitum, which means to dance. So Krishna was dancing, but then he was telling the Purva Raga gopis that one day will come when we will be also dancing here together. So I remember one time reading, I think Sanatana Goswami's Brihad Bhagavatamrita, in which it is mentioned that Krishna also took the gopis, the Purvaraga gopis, and he was doing the Rasalila on top of the Kalya snake's hoods. So this is also mentionable. Okay, now Kalya had 101 prominent heads, and he said one head would not bow down, then Krishna would jump on that, inflict punishment, like he do on cruel wrongdoers, smash that stubborn head by striking it with his feet. And then Kalya entered into his death throes. That means he is going to bleed and going to be on the verge of death. He began wheeling his heads around. So already he was so tired by circling. Now somebody is jumping on his heads. What will happen? And not somebody who is like the Supreme Lord, who has the weight of the entire universe within his belly. He's jumping up and down on his head. What will happen to him? He was totally devastated and he began to vomit ghastly blood from his mouth and nostrils. And then he was experiencing such extreme pain and misery, didn't know what to do. He did whatever he could. He was trying to bite Krishna, but no effect on the Supreme Lord. He's saying this is beyond magic. What is this? So Sridhar Swami is saying by striking the feet as a pretext for dancing, actually he was, we have all watched Bharatnatyam. We know how Bharatnatyam is. They just dance by striking the feet on the ground and so much sound comes, isn't it? And Krishna used that dance to trample on his head, like taking the form of a dance, but actually he was trampling upon whichever head was coming, whichever head was still moving about. Brahmataha, though his life expectancy had decreased, that means he's going to die any moment. Kshina Ayusha, his Ayusha had become Kshina now. He had 101 mane amongst the 1000 heads. That is Anga Shata Eka Shirshnaha. Shata Shirshnaha means 100 heads. Eka Shata means 101 heads. Shirshnaha were the prominent ones. But he was not relinquishing stiffness, na namate, but whichever of these 101 heads which was prominent was na namate, which was not relinquishing its stiffness. That means it was stiff. Krishna trampled that. At that time, he vomited blood. He started Vamana Asrak, vomited blood from his mouth, Asyataha, and from his many nostrils, Nasato. From his nostrils, and from his mouths. From his mouth and from his nostrils, he was vomiting blood. Kaliya was almost dead, says Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami. Ulbanam means profuse blood due to the blood obstructions of mouths and noses on account of vomiting it via throat passages. We have ourselves experienced many times when somebody is vomiting. We also, that our passage of our nostrils and our mouth gets blocked when the vomiting comes out from nose, from mouth, like that. So same thing happened to Kaliya, where his blood was pouring. First there was poison, and poison finished, and now blood started pouring. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that when one head would not bow down, Krishna would suddenly smash that stubborn head with his foot. And then blood would flow profusely from his mouth and nostrils. We can imagine what a sight it would be. Everywhere would be poison and blood. Garalam is poison. So exuding poisonous waste from his eyes now. So already finished mouth and nostrils. Now the third cavity is the eyes. And from his eyes also poison was pouring out. Kaliya would occasionally dare to raise up one of his heads, which would breathe heavily with anger. So even now, so envious was the snake that even now, once in a while, one of the hoods would raise up and breathe heavily with anger. One more attempt, a last attempt to bite Krishna. Then the Lord would dance on it and subdue it, forcing it to bow down with his foot. Then the demigods each took these exhibitions as an opportunity to worship him and the primeval personality of Godhead with showers of flowers. So they were showering flowers. The demigods, what they did, they took this opportunity to shower flowers on the Lord. So Sridhar Swami is saying, while lowering with kicks, Pada, whichever yat head of him, which was still hissing with rage, rising, Samunnatamati Nishvasato Rusha Uchai. He, that is Yashodanandan Krishna, who was on this occasion Iha, was being worshipped Prapujitaha with showers of flowers, Pushpaihi, by enthralled Gandharva. So this was like a feast for their eyes. This was like a ceremony going on, dancing. What can you call? It's a performance, a dancing performance. So Krishna is performing and is enthralling his audience, the Gandharvas, and the other ancient Purana Purusha Kuman seated on Shesha used to be worshipped. So how was Krishna as Mahavishnu seated on Sheshanag was being worshipped? Like that, they were all getting very enthralled by seeing this very Lord dancing on a snake, and he was subduing Kaliya, Damayam Babhuva. The drift is that he did him a favor. Who did whom a favor? Krishna did Kaliya a favor. Not only was it dancing and subduing him, but also he was doing a favor, which we are going to learn soon. What a great favor. Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami, what they are saying, now poison came gushing only from Kaliya's eyes. Now his eyes are emitting poison. Tasyakshibhir garalam. Garalam is poison. Udvamataha, all pouring out. What is meant is that he had a very fierce look there. So although he was totally devastated, but his looks were still fierce. On the side of the real meaning, there are two meanings here. By strikes of the feet, angripatahi. That is, by specific positions of the lotus feet, by moving in a dance, the trample is the removal of the fault inherent in that species. So by trampling a snake, what happens? Actually, if an ordinary person tramples a snake, what happens is poison comes out. And that's how he bites. If by chance somebody tramples a snake, poisonous snake is poisons, immediately comes out and the snake bites that person. So that is what is Krishna doing. He is taking out his poison by trampling it. Or it is signified the obtainment of great good fortune. Here comes the benediction. What is that fortune? Is the special touch of his lotus feet. Therefore, by that, there is also the fact that the heads are a prop. The heads are a prop. That means like in a dance or in the stage is a prop, and all the things, the decorations on the stage are also props. Like in a drama, if you have a drama or a skit, we play a skit or a drama, then you have some props on the stage to make it look like a particular scene. So like that, these hoods of the snakes, that is also, these heads were like a prop. And then his life expectancy was decreasing by Krishna's jumping on his hoods. And so that the snake fainted with the bliss of prema. So this is also why Rasik Vaishnavas, they see it in a different light. As we said, just like they said that Kaliya did not want to let go of Krishna, of his sweet embrace, in the same way here they're saying Kaliya is fainting with the bliss of prema because Krishna is giving his blessings by dancing on his head. Vomiting poison was the expulsion of his unlimited internal faults. So whatever internal faults he had, that was coming out of him. And he had anger, rusha, arising from love. So this is the positive side of how the Rasika Vaishnavas see that his anger was because of his love towards Krishna. Or the word can be taken as, now there's rusha and arusha. Now look at the verse over here. We'll just read this. Tasyakshibhir garalam udvamataha shirasu yat samunnamati nishvasato rushochaihi. Now here, rushochaihi. Rusha uchaihi. Now rusha uchaihi can be read in two ways. Rusha uchaihi or arusha. Nishvasato. Nishvasato rusha uchaihi. Nishvasato rusha. If you say to in a longer way, it becomes nishvasato, nishvasataha, rusha uchaihi or nishvasata arusha uchaihi. So if you take it as an arusha, that means there was no anger. There was no anger in the Kaliya. Thus he breathed without anger. So with the devotion. So Krishna made the snake give up all his faults due to his nature, Damayam, and by that he gave the benefit to the snake. And this is also explained by Sridhar Swami. So this Jiva Goswami is saying like this, that it could be also Rusha by arising from love, or Arusha, that means Arusha means there was no anger because already he was purified. Another version has Damayam Babhuva. What he did to get such mercy? So Krishna himself seems to be the cause. The answer is given like that. It was as if Vrindavan Krishna was being worshipped. So Krishna only was the cause of this mercy. So Krishna only thought, this is causeless mercy given to the serpent by the Lord. There was no cause for him to give this mercy to him. So Krishna was being worshipped by flowers. Now what is explained is that this poison which is coming out from Kalia's mouth, Rasika Vaishnavas like Jiva Goswami, they're explaining it like he's being worshipped with flowers. As at the lake, at the greatest person, Purana Puman, you are Puman, you are the greatest person, you're the oldest person, you're the primeval Lord, or he was ever fresh, though existing eternally, or he is the person who gives life to the city of Mathura. So Pura is also called as a city, and Purana means he is the Lord of the Mathura city, and he gives the life to the Mathura city. So that also is the meaning of Purana Puma. Or so here Kalia, the another side of Kalia Daman is seen, where Kalia is shown as he is the he is a lover. He's showing his anger as a lover shows, and then he has no anger because all his anger has been depleted because Krishna has trampled him and taken off all his anarthas. And now, why was he getting so much mercy? Because Krishna is giving him this mercy by himself, and also by his poison, is like offering, because that's all he has. What does he have? What does a snake have? He has only poison. So he's like he's considering this poison as flowers and offering it at the greatest person. Now, Lord Krishna's wonderful, powerful dancing has trampled and he has broken all of Kalia's 1,000 hoods. Now Kalia is totally deflated. Then the serpent profusely is vomiting blood from his mouth. Finally, he recognized Sri Krishna to be Bhagavan. So at this point in time, Kalia knew that this is not an ordinary person, this is Bhagavan. And finally, recognizing him to be Bhagavan, the supreme master of all moving and non-moving beings, Sri Narayana, and thus within his mind, Kalia took shelter of the Lord. Kalia is taking shelter of Krishna. So Sanatana Goswami is saying Kalia's 1,000 hoods, Fana Sahasrasho means he has got 1,000 hoods, were especially broken. Tachit Tandavi Virugna Fana Sahasro, by his amazingly powerful dance, Tandava. So the dance was manifold. That means there were many types of dances which Krishna showed on account of the varieties of moves as disturbed by Bharat Muni. Now Bharatnatyam is given by Bharat Muni, isn't it? So Bharat Muni gave this Natyam, that is Bharatnatyam. That means Krishna was performing Bharatnatyam. And in the Bharatnatyam, he was showing this different manifold varieties of moves. And one of them was Tandava. So he was doing the Tandava Nritya. Already Bharatnatyam is a dance which has forceful movement on the steps. You have seen they very forcefully dance on the floor. You have heard this, you have seen this. Then imagine the Tandava, how forceful it will be. And Krishna was showing Tandava. However, on the side of the true meaning by that sort of dance on all the hoods, there is only utter mercy. This is utter mercy. Krishna is showing, I don't want to leave even one hood. 1,000 hoods, I don't want to leave even one hood left unimprinted by my foot. Let me stamp this hood also. Let me stamp this hood also. And he was giving utter mercy by considering that the hood's existence had become successful. The snake became humbled with the removal of all his pride, and when the hoods were all damaged, and actually by destroying the 1,000 faults, he became pure. All his 1,000 hoods were 1,000 faults. And when they all were destroyed, he became pure. Thus, he remembered the Lord due to the origination of a pure state of mind, and he surrendered to him. Now, Shukadeva Goswami is expressing this with smritva. Smritva here is jnatva. Jnatva means to understand, to remember that Krishna is a supreme. Krishna is a progenitor of moving and non-moving beings. Charachara Gurum. Here, Charachara Gurum. Gurum is also mentioned like a progenitor. He is also a guru and he is also a creator. Since he is the ancient Purusha, Purusham Puranam, the origin of all. He is Narayana, the shelter of all living beings. Sarva Jivanam Aranam. Aranam is also as Sharanam. So Sarva Jivanam Sharanam. So he is the shelter of all the living entities. And Karya took shelter of the Lord in his mind. Manasa Jagama. Kalia took shelter of the Lord in his mind. And Jiva Goswami, especially highlighting these comments, Kalia realized that he is the Lord by the diminution of his intrinsic inner faults from the punishment directly inflicted by the divine feet. When Krishna even touches you, right? When Rama even touched the Shila, Ahalya came up. So even just by the touch of the divine feet, all impurities are gone. So imagine somebody dancing like this, and on every hood of the snake. So how much mercy? And by the origination of pure mental state from their touch, as in the case of Bali Maharaj. So here example is given of Bali Maharaj. So when Vamanadev just placed his foot on Bali Maharaj's head, when Bali Maharaj surrendered to him, Bali Maharaj was totally given the absolute mercy by the Lord. And look at Kalia. Krishna is dancing and dancing and dancing and dancing. His 1,000 hoods, not even one hood is left out. He is now devoid of his bad attitude, although he had heard hundreds of times from his wives about that ancient one. So here we see how the Nagapatnis actually are preaching to Kalia. So do we see that here? So here we see this from this line. We have to please remember this very carefully. How did the Nagapatnis become devotees of the Lord? How did they know? They were in the poison. They were in the along with the poisonous snakes Kalia. How did they become devotees of the Lord? Anyone would like to say? It's mentioned that the Kaliya's wives had heard about the Lord Krishna by obtaining the grace of Sheshanag. This is given by Baladev Vidyabhushan. He says that Sheshanag gave them the grace by their devotion to Hari was increased by hearing from Sheshanag, the unlimited glories of Krishna. You know that Sheshanag is unlimitedly glorifying the Lord. So when he's unlimitedly, he's also of the same species as these snakes. So these snakes heard from him the unlimited glory of the Nagapatnis, and they were preaching to Kalia time to time. But the seed was being sowed in his heart, but the seed was not sprouting at all because so much of poison. The seeds of devotion had previously been planted in his heart, says Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura, by the mercy of his wives, who were actually exalted devotees of Krishna. But it could not sprout because of Kaliya's cruel behavior due to his previous offenses. Just as the seeds sown on a barren ground cannot sprout. But by the purifying touch of the Lord's lotus feet, however, Kaliya's offense was neutralized and the seed of devotion began to sprout. He remembered or realized that he was now fighting an opponent who was thousands of times stronger than his arch rival Garuda. So Kaliya knew that this Krishna, he is even thousands of times stronger than my arch rival, who is Garuda. So this is the Lord himself. And therefore, this person must be the Supreme Lord. This is the person my wives had previously described as being approachable by bhakti. So now that all the poison has come out, immediately the seed which had been planted by the Nagapatnis immediately sprouted.
See, this is another way of looking at it. See, when we go through these difficulties in the life, just like poison coming out, these difficulties, Krishna, by giving difficulties, all our faults, all our karmas, everything is being neutralized, and then we become truly qualified to render pure bhakti, This is really so wonderful. So you have to look at it from a positive point of view. When the difficulties happen, you don't curse Bhagavan. Why is Lord giving me difficulties? I'm chanting so much, I'm doing bhakti so much, and still I'm getting difficulties. But actually, when you are doing this thing, Krishna is gradually taking away all our karmas, all our dushanas.
Yes, wonderful. So nice. So this is also a lesson to take home. So now we move on to the next part. Now Kalia is already subdued, and now his Nagapatnis. Earlier they were thinking that our husband must die. But now they are thinking that see the plight of her husband. He's already totally devastated, and now he looks as if he is becoming a devotee. So now he should not die. He should be given a chance to become a devotee. So in this way, they are now going to pray. And this beautiful prayers of Nagapatni, we are going to see in two parts. Today will be half of the part, and tomorrow we'll continue. So the noteworthy highlights of the hymn offered in utter humility and utmost surrendering mode. And then it's in the part B, we will see how the great distress, concurrence with the Lord's just punishment of the husband's cruelty and sins, recognition of the Lord's mercy for imprinting his footprints on Kalia's hoods, considering of his piety amassed in previous lives, etc., will be discussed in part 2. So
Continue.
Actually, there's no time.
Yeah, continue.
We'll continue. Thank you. So Nagapatni's hymns to Sri Krishna, when Kalia's wife saw that the serpent had become so fatigued, excessive weight of Krishna, and Krishna carries the entire universe in his abdomen. Now Kalia's umbrella-like hoods had been shattered by the striking of Krishna's heels, and they were now feeling so greatly distressed. So their clothing, ornaments, hair scattered, they approached the Lord, the eternal Lord, and their minds very much disturbed. Those saintly ladies, they placed their children in front of them. They bowed down to the Lord, and they were laying their bodies flat, dandavat, upon the grounds, and they desired liberation of their sinful husband and the shelter of the Supreme Lord, the giver of ultimate shelter. Thus they folded their hands in supplication, and they approached the Lord. Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, they say that though Krishna was pleased with Kalia's surrender, but to show greatness of his wives and just to give special mercy to them, he did not give up his position on the snake. That means he was continuing to stand on his hoods, although the snake had already surrendered. But why was he doing that? To give them he wanted to show the greatness of Nagapatnis. So the Nagapatnis showed complete surrender more than their husband, because they knew the true position of the Lord. So in great distress and all that, they came and they were lying down in front of him. Suvigna Manasa, they were grief-stricken by the thought that the husband would die now. So of his great offense, what an offense. He tried to bite the Lord. He tried to poison him. So he's going to die now. So in extreme humility, they were offering him, and they placed their bodies on the ground and children in the front. They wanted to make Krishna compassionate. They knew Krishna is so compassionate. So if they see their children, Krishna will feel more compassion towards them. They desired Krishna free their husbands, so that now he was sinless, and now he was filled with bhakti, and now Krishna will. It was proper to give them a special mercy by Krishna, but if they release their husband, because he has become sinless now, he can also become a devotee. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is seeing that the husband was so oppressed by the heavy weight of the Lord, who was carrying the universe in his belly. Nagpatnis are approaching Krishna, and previously the wives had been disgusted with their husbands and let these atheists be killed, they thought, but now they are thinking that as widows, we will fully engage in Krishna's service. But now, when they saw that the symptoms of sanchari bhav, such as humility, remorse, regret, doubt, indifference, all this are coming in this husband's facial expressions, they could know, because they were so close to their husband, they were so in much love with Kalia. So they could understand by their husband's facial expressions that now he was totally surrendered, and his sanchari bhav is coming in his face, and other bodily features. They thought, see how fortunate we are. Our husband is becoming a Vaishnava. He's become a Vaishnava. So therefore now we must try to save him. So if we save him, then they were feeling so much affection for their repentant husband, and they were thinking that severely distressed he was, because of Kalia's the miserable condition they saw, that the wives also, they all joined together and they started offering these beautiful prayers. So the prayers begin. The punishment this offender has been subjected to is certainly just. After all, you have incarnated within this world to curb down envious and cruel persons. You are so impartial that you look equally upon your enemies and your own sons. For when you impose a punishment on a living being, you know it to be for his ultimate benefit. So you have done what is actually mercy for us, since the punishment you give to the wicked certainly drives away all their contamination. So when you kill asuras, all the contamination goes away. So when you trouble, if the devotees think they're in trouble, like Prabhu said, actually all our contamination is getting driven away and we are getting purified. So that is what we have to do. Purification, purification, purification. That's all should be there in our mind. So whenever we are in trouble, think we are getting purified. We are getting purified. Indeed, because of this this conditioned soul, our husband is so sinful that he assumed the body of a serpent. Your anger towards him is obviously to be understood as your mercy. So what does he mean? Here we have two parts. One is to pacify his anger right at the outset. They approve of Krishna's punishment. Dandaha. Yes, correct. As fair and just. Nyayaha. Very good. And fitting to the husband's offenses. Krita kilbishes means, that means you have done the correct fitting because our husband was so offensive. So like this we see in Bhagavatam many places where even in Bali Maharaja's wife also, she also prays like that. You have given a fitting punishment to my husband. But then after saying all this, after glorifying, then they say that please be merciful and please deliver our husband back to us. So your punishment is actually mercy for us. Anugrahoyam bhavatah kato hino. So first they approve of Krishna's punishment because they think Krishna is angry. So let us pacify him first. So to descend, his descent to the world is Tavavataraha. What is your avatara for? For the subjugation, nigrahaya of the envious of the color. So you have come here to do that. With equal vision to an enemy, Ripo, or to your sons, Sutanam, you are equal to everyone. You will see in the case of Bhaumasura, Krishna's own son was killed by him. So you don't show partiality. Krishna, your punishment is the same for your sons or for your enemies, and your punishment is for their ultimate benefit of the eternal happiness and liberation. Damam phalam evanushamsan. So that's what they say first, to pacify his anger. Then they start to glorify him. They say your punishment is correct and it's actually mercy for us. Actually, to drive away our contamination, kalmasha apaha, to remove all our contamination. Indeed, your husband is sinful with so many of his offenses. The condition of appearing as a serpent. Danda sukatvam. Danda shukatvam means he has so much offenses in him, and that's why he has become a serpent. So that is your correct. Whatever you gave is actually your mercy. So they say, did our husband carefully perform austerities? Now they're asking him a question. Krishna, did our husband carefully perform austerities in a previous life with his mind free of pride, full of respect for others? Is that why you are pleased with him? Or did he do something, some previous existence, some carefully execute some religious duties with compassion for all living beings? And is that why the life of all living beings, is now satisfied with him? Why he got this? With his mind free from false pride and full of respect to others, did Kalia perform any austerities in his previous life? Because otherwise this was not possible. This is impossible. And because of Kalia's tapas or his penance and his religious duty, he has received the Lord's affection in the form of holding his lotus feet on his head. So what a great boon he has received. How? Did he do any tapas, any penance? Did he do that? We do not know how the serpent Kali has attained this great opportunity of being touched by the dust of your lotus feet. For this end, the goddess of fortune performs austerities for centuries, giving up all the desires and observing austere vows. It's a beautiful verse here. I just want to recite, because this is a verse number 36. Kasyanubhavasya na deva vidmahe tavangrirenu sparashadhikaraha yadvanchaya shri lalanacharattapo vihaya kama suchiram dudaprata. This is a very beautiful prayer. Here it says that actually the mercy given to Kaliya was not a result of his tapas or dharma. It was Lord's inconceivable causeless mercy. That's what the Nagapadnis are saying. I don't think this is because of tapas or anything. It is only because of causeless mercy. It is rarer to get the touch of Krishna's lotus feet. What to speak of having him dance on one head? Even Lakshmi Devi could not get that mercy to touch your feet in your form as a cowherd boy, despite performing severe austerities. And Lakshmi Devi is performing austerities to join the rasa dance. But Krishna says, without becoming a gopi, you cannot join the rasa dance in your Lakshmi form. And she insisted that she wanted to be in the rasa dance in the Lakshmi form. And this was not possible. And so she's doing charat tapo, she's doing constant penances to join you in her Lakshmi form. So then they say, those who have attained the dust of your lotus feet never hanker for kinship of heaven, limitless sovereignty, the position of Brahma, the rulership over the earth. They're not interested even in the perfections of yoga or in liberation itself. So those who surrender to you, the Nagapatnis are saying, they do not hanker for lesser awards. Like, who wants to go to heaven? We want to go to Krishna Loka. What then to speak of those who have attained the dust of your lotus feet? Now that means they are talking about Kaliya's good fortune. Although this Kaliya has taken birth in the mode of ignorance and is controlled by anger, he has achieved that which is difficult for others to achieve. Embodied souls who are full of desires and are thus wandering the cycle of birth and death can have all benedictions manifested simply before their eyes, simply by receiving the dust of your lotus feet. So everything can be gotten just by the receiving the dust of your lotus feet, which you have freely given to Kaliya. Somehow Kaliya, the king of snakes, who is full of ignorance and showed anger towards you, attained your lotus feet, which even Lakshmi Devi and others find difficult to achieve. So what good fortune this Kaliya has. So they're saying, we are offering our obeisances unto you, O Supreme Lord. Although present in the heart of all living beings as super soul, you are all pervasive. Although the original shelter of all created material elements, you exist prior to their creation. And although the cause of everything, you are transcendental to all material cause and effect, being the Supreme Lord. So from now onwards, so accepting Kaliya's punishment and considering that it was astonishing that he had gained mercy of Krishna's lotus feet, though he was an offender. See, Kaliya was an offender. He was trying to bite Krishna. He had so much of anarthas. But Krishna is giving a supreme mercy, isn't it? By dancing on his hoods. So it shows that he is a shelter of various contradictory qualities. To remove the offense and offer respect with humility, to forgive the husband. This is expressed in the next 10 verses. So 10 verses from 39 to 48, we have these 10 verses where contradictory qualities of Krishna are being glorified by the Nagapatnis. Because here, why? Because they are contradictory qualities of Krishna are there. Why? They are saying because Kaliya was so poisonous. He was so trying to bite Krishna and all that. And he was so offensive. And Krishna is showing the extreme mercy to such a person. So isn't it contradictory? Anybody who is offensive and all, will you give him your extreme mercy? Right? So this is what they see, that the husband is going to be given so much mercy and going to remove all his offenses and all that. So this Lord, my Lord, he's so, you can see here, although everywhere. When you see although, that means there is like, although you're present in the all living beings, you're all pervasive. Although you're the original shelter of material elements, created material elements, you are existed prior to. And although you're the cause of everything, you're transcendental to the cause and effect. So if you're a cause, if Krishna, you're the cause of everything, then you're also transcendental to the cause. So this isn't it contradictory, but this contradictoriness, which we can see, was actually shown by Krishna himself. If you remember in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 9th chapter, Krishna said, Maya tadamidam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina matsthani sarva bhutani na chaham teshva avasthitaha. By me in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded and all beings are in me, but I am not in them. Krishna said that, right? What he said? Matsthani sarva bhutani na chaham teshva avasthita. And next verse only he said, na cha matsthani bhutani. In the 9.4 he says, Matsthani sarva bhutani. And 9.5 he says, Nacha matsthani bhutani. That means opposite. Pashyame yogam aishwaram. See, yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. So this is Aishwaram. So I was thinking that Nagapatnis are also telling Krishna about his Aishwaram. He are glorifying his Aishwaram. What is Aishwaram? His contrariness, which is obvious contrary, but actually it is this supreme glory. So here they say the next verse, obeisances unto you, absolute truth, for the reservoir of all transcendental consciousness and potency and the possessor of unlimited energies. Although completely free from material qualities and transformations, you are the prime mover of the material nature. So now here again, although you are free from material qualities and transformation, but the material nature cannot move without you. So you are the mover of this. So you are the one who transforms, yet you are free from transformation. So like that, he is the ocean of knowledge, Jnana Vijnana Nidhaye, possesses all powers, Brahmane, and are without a change. Agunaya Vikaraya. So Vikaraya, no Vikara, no change, and no gunas, Nirgun, and the prime mover of material nature, Prakritaya. So when he is a Nirvikaraya, Nirgunaya, then how can he become Prakritaya? So like that. It shows like you are the completely free from material qualities, right? Krishna is completely free. And then, but he is prime mover of the material nature, Prakritaya. He is the one in control of the material nature. He is the one who is moving this material nature. So both the things sounds contradictory. These names show his astonishing nature. There is the same intention in all the other verses, the following verses. So the same thread you can see everywhere. Although you are this, then you are this. So obeisances unto you, for time itself, the shelter of time and the witness of time in all phases. And you are the universe, and also its separate observer. So you are the universe, and you are also the separate observer. And you are its creator, and also the totality of all its causes. So though the Lord appears in time and space, he is not affected by the qualities of time and space, material time and space, right? The hymn goes that we pay respects to you who are time itself, Kalaya, the shelter of time, Kalanabhaya, the witness of time in all its phases, Kala Vayava Sakshine. You witness time, right? But you are unaffected by it. So we pay respect to you. Although you are the universe, Vishvaya, you remain untouched by it as a separate observer. So you are its creator, the cause, and all the causes of all the causes. What more can be said? So you are the giver of knowledge or awareness of to the elements. So you are the one who gives us all the sense objects, senses, prana, mind, intelligence, chitta, everything. You are the one who are giving us. And you give us the knowledge of the Atma to the Jivas also. And the Jivas are covered by Maya now, right? Covered by Maya. So who is this doing this? Krishna only told Maya, cover these Jivas because they are not yet ready to come back to me. And now you are the one who's creating the material elements. You are the one who's covering. And now I offer respect to the biggest and the smallest, to the fixed one, to the teacher of all arts. So this is another second line. So the first line shows contradiction. You create and then you only cover. Then how are we supposed to come out? So like that. But you are doing that. They are glorifying. So we are not. It is not that they are accusing the Lord. The Nagapatnis are not accusing the Lord. Oh, the Lord they're not saying, oh, you're the one who are the giver of knowledge and you're the one who are covering our knowledge. They're not saying like that. They are saying it in a glorifying way. I offer respects. the biggest and the smallest, to the fixed one, to the teachers of all arts, to the inspiration of many, for many philosophies. So many philosophies in this world, isn't it? There is Dvaita, Advaita, and there is also the atheist philosophy. So he is only giving the power to words and meanings. If Krishna withdraws the power of the words, will your words have any meaning? Words will have no meaning. Then how can the philosophies come about? So Krishna is only giving the powers to the words and to the meanings of the words. This is very, very nicely described somewhere else. But if there is no time, but we could see it, how the Vedas come about and how every word in the Veda has a meaning, and that meaning is a perfect meaning, and that meaning is given by the Lord himself. By the Lord himself. That's why he says Vedanta with Vedakrit Tevachaham. So here we offer obeisances again to you, who are the basis of all authoritative evidence. You are the author, you are the ultimate source of the revealed scriptures, that is the Vedas, and you have also manifested yourself in those Vedic literatures, encouraging sense gratification. See, now here you see sense gratification as well as encouraging renunciation. Same Vedas. There are flowery words of the Vedas, and there are also the renunciation. Right? Tyaga. So bhoga, tyaga, both are there in the Vedas. So you yourself have done this. So only you can do it. Only it's possible for you. So glorifying him. They're not accusing him. So you are the cause of shelter of proofs, the Vedas, the essence of scriptures concerning Bhagavan. You are the author of scriptures. You are the self-manifesting knowledge, Kavaye. You are the shelter of its meaning, Shastra Yonaye. And you are the scriptures promoting enjoyment and renunciation. And you are the Nigama, that is Vedas, scriptures which are your order or indicating proper conduct. Because you have these astonishing forms, Veera, for your respects. So they are glorifying him. You are this, you are that, you are everything. So we are glorifying you. We offer obeisances to Lord Krishna and Lord Rama, the sons of Vasudeva, and to Lord Pradyumna and Lord Aniruddha. There is a quadruple expansions. We offer respectful obeisances unto the master of all saintly devotees of Vishnu. So here what they are doing, they are glorifying all the forms mentioned in the scriptures, especially the Krishna's eternal fourfold plenary expansions, Chaturvyuha, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. And the Nagapatnis are praying, we offer respects to all these forms, including the son of Vasudeva, that is Vasudeva Sutaya, and Nanda's son as well. And we offer respects to Krishna, the protector of Vasudeva, and others, the Satvata dynasty, Satvatam Pataye. So all this they have heard from whom? We should remember this underlying fact. They have heard it from none other than Sheshadeva, Sheshanag. Obeisances to you, O Lord, who manifest varieties of material and spiritual qualities. You disguise yourself with the material qualities, and yet functioning of those same material qualities ultimately reveals your existence. See, now Krishna was taking this form like a child, like a human child, is disguising himself with material qualities. But when he does this extraordinary feats of lifting over the hill, dancing on the hoods of Kalia, all this is ultimately revealing his opulence, his existence. So you stand apart from material qualities as a witness, can be seen, can be fully known only by your devotees. Only the devotees can know you. Here, the Nagapatnis are addressing Krishna as he who manifests. Pradipaya. Pradipaya means to manifest. Various material and spiritual qualities. Guna Pradipaya. And Krishna covers himself with a screen of material nature. Therefore, he is called Gunatma Chadanaya. That means he covers himself. We have seen this in Kunti Maharani's prayers also, where she calls Krishna, that Krishna, oh Krishna, you have covered yourself by this curtain of Maya, isn't it? So like that here they are saying that you cover yourself with a screen of material nature. So material nature is covering you like that. Yoga Maya is covering you. And then he is called Gunatma Chadanaya. But Krishna can be recognized by his extraordinary quality of extreme Bhakta Vatsalya, Gunavritta Upalakshaya. So by which he makes the living entities Krishna consciousness. So how do we become Krishna conscious? No one except Swayam Bhagavan, Shri Krishna, has this quality of making every jiva Krishna conscious by his bhakta vatsalya, seeing the good qualities guna drishtre in his own swa devotees, his own devotees, and not the faults. So he doesn't see the faults, he see the goods. So didn't we see in the Acharya's commentaries how Krishna was seeing that Kalyanag was embracing him with love, and he was showing loving anger, and he was not at all angry with him, and he was throwing flowers of poison, which is all he had, at Krishna's lotus feet and offering him flowers of poison. So like that, he sees only the good. He doesn't see the faults in his devotees. And Krishna allows himself to be known as Swasamvide, only by them, and also that ultimately only Krishna can know himself, Samvide, perfectly. So no one can know him, only he himself can know himself. So thank you very much. I know this was quite intense. Thank you for the wonderful slides.
But you did wonderful. You're really admirably,
Thank you.
So beautiful. You covered all aspect of it.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
I'm really proud of you. Thank you so much. You are really a gifted speaker.
All glories to you and all glories to the devotees. Thank you for all your blessings.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. This is wonderful explanation.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Mataji, that was a wonderful session, Mataji. Thank you very much. I have one point of question, Mataji.
Yes,
it's like serpent or snake cannot hold the head so much time and it doesn't have nerves. Okay. So how do we understand this particular point? Like he's doing even Bharatanatyam on each hood, Mataji. I always had this question.
Because he's not an ordinary snake, Have you seen any snake with 1,000 hoods? No, right? We don't have an experience at all. We only see the small cobras. And the cobras also, they are very stiff when they stand like this.
Yeah.
They are stiff in their own way. But if you imagine 1,000 hoods, 1,000 hoods means how big it is. It's an enormous snake. And on that enormous snake, Krishna was looking like only a 6-year-old boy. 6-year-old boy he looks nothing in front of Kaliya. It's just like a small toy like that. But Krishna was holding the entire universe in his abdomen, and therefore Krishna was so very heavy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mother. Wonderfully explained, and I feel sometimes this is Krishna's dance performance on the hood stage. Stage is like a hood, like 1,000 hoods.
Definitely.
Big performance on his hoods.
Big performance.
He's imagining a dancer who's dancing on this platform, and the platform is
moving
constantly moving around. So look at the way Krishna dance on that moving platform, totally.
And slippery too. Not only moving, slippery too.
Yeah. But the other thing, did you notice that, because later on we'll be hearing tomorrow, I believe, the Kaliya defense that I was born in this Sarpa Yoni, in the body of a snake. What can I do? Anger is my nature, and all this thing, it's not my fault and everything. But look at his wives. His wives are also in the body of snake, but they become great devotee. The bhakti, see, there is again another point. My hypothesis is coming. All these examples I'll be quoting in my thesis, So this snake's wives, Nagapatnis, they are also in the snake body, but they become great devotees. The great devotees. All their snake-like nature is completely dissolved because bhakti process. How dramatically our very personality, our very DNA, that's changing. Actually, DNA structure of DNA is not changing. Genes are not changing, but the way the genes read, that is changing. That's called epigenetics. We won't go into that. But the point here is that Nagapatnis, they were preaching him for a long time because he was not yet ready. And the Lord itself had to come, and because the Lord came because of this Nagapatni, the reward he wanted to give them too also, you know. So there is what it so much instructive part, instructive lessons, all these leelas that we have been hearing, all different aspects of it, you know. Not only this Kaliya Daman, but other aspects of it. So much we are learning in the Bhagavatam, so much. Incredible. In 10th canto is all about the very nature of who Krishna really is. He himself is revealing. He is keeping nothing secret. It's our eyes and our ears has to absorb that, internalize that, who really Krishna is. How lucky we are on the devotional platform of such a personality. That is what it's so wonderful, you know.
And
All
also
these pastimes are bringing about.
Brahmana Patnis also.
Yeah, exactly. In
Can
fact,
compare-
women are much easier to come to bhakti platform than men, because the man ego, that is preventing them. You
And also
have to first become humble.
Because Prabhuji, women's hearts are very soft, and
Yes.
उनकी श्रद्धा भी बहुत जल्दी से
Okay,
जागृत
they
होती
have
है.
fertile heart. The beach of bhakti can sprout in the women's heart, you know.
The gopis, it's mentioned elsewhere that the gopis used to, and Brahmana Patnis, when they saw this gopis, and they would ask them, this is the same way, the Nagapatnis also, they heard about Krishna's glories from the Sheshanag, and this way they developed. So from pure devotees, like the gopis and the Sheshanag, pure devotees, and from them, when you hear about Krishna Katha, you become purified, and you become like devotees of the Lord very easily.
And see, from their prayers you learn so much. See, they begin. How did they begin? In a very humble mood, and they did not. They say that whatever the punishment you gave to our husband is perfect. You know,
Yeah.
he deserved that kind of punishment because of his extreme anger, extreme kind of power. So much pride he had, false pride, because he had a poison hands and fangs, things like that. He was relying on that and everything, you know. So all these things we'll be seeing tomorrow's lesson. Also, very, very, very important lesson. Actually, we'll be doing a skit. Sarath Prabhu is going to tell you a lot more about it. But that skit, what I came up with the idea is to basically to learn these instructive points, and that you can see it in this short skit, how Kaliya is defending himself, and he said, I'm not guilty. But where does his guilt lies there? That we will see that in that skit, you know. And that is tomorrow's lesson. First we'll hear from Mataji, who is really incredible. More and more I hear from her, I feel so incredibly fortunate. You know, we are all very fortunate, really. We are really very fortunate. A very gifted speaker is among us, you know.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Haribol. Thank you so much.
Yes, Prabhuji, very true.
All Prabhupada's mercy, all devotees' mercy.
Hare Krishna,
We all
Mataji.
are very lucky.
Yes, I have a question, Mataji.
We are bestowed with Lord's mercy, Prabhuji, through her. Yeah.
Thank you. Prabhupada ki jai. Yes, Prabhu. Sanjeev Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji, I agree with all. Thank you so much. So wonderful katha. Like it was like going live in front of us. So thank you for being so merciful on us and sharing. So I had two questions. One is, finally, I'm very eager to hear finally, what is the answer to this question? Why did Krishna show his mercy to Kaliya? I think the answer is because of the devotee patnis. Is that the case? If not, is there some?
Okay, we'll discuss about this after the skit tomorrow.
Oh, that is there. Okay, so if that answer is coming, then that's good.
Yeah, it's coming tomorrow, Prabhu.
Okay, then we'll wait for that. And then secondly, the Nagapatni is hearing from Sheshnag. So when did that occur? Like, is there any description? Like, is it before they got married to Prabhu?
Baldev Vidyabhushan has commented like this. So I assume that they were earlier in Ramanaka Dvipa. Ramanaka Dvipa is, some say it's in Fiji, like Srila Prabhupada said it's in Fiji Islands. that area. But we cannot say only the area that is on the top, also all the way below, right? So Sheshanag is right at the below. So the snakes have the ability to go down. So maybe they go down and here at the Patala. And there Sheshanag is constantly describing the glories of the Lord. For example, the Lord told Sheshanag to hold the earth on his hoods. So when Sheshanag asked the Lord how long I should hold the earth on his hoods, so then the Lord told him, you start chanting my glories, and when you finish chanting my glories, you can place the earth down. So till now, Sheshanag is constantly chanting glories of the Lord, and it is not even finishing. So it was a trick to hold the earth forever, the universe forever on his hoods.
And that again, Mataji, is sort of limitation to my intelligence here. Like I have heard this so many times, like Lord Sheshnaga is chanting the glories of the Lord and they are infinite and he is still continuing. But then I'm thinking like, what if we all sit down and make a list of glories of the Lord, I think we have a limited capacity, don't you? Like, at least I feel at some point I will stop. Like, okay, he's beautiful, he's a creator, he's merciful, he's like my vocabulary will stop at some point. So, what is it that that curiosity is there? That what is it that Lord Shesna see which we do not? That
Okay,
he's
glory-
still chanting. Yeah.
Yeah, glories means not only glories like he's beautiful, he's opulent, but glories also means his glorious pastimes. So how many pastimes are there? Innumerable devotees and innumerable pastimes.
That
So
makes sense.
and each pastime can have a different aspect. You see our acharyas, we are reading the acharyas commentaries. Each acharya has got his own way of seeing this thing. And then how each acharya says in multitude of devotees, in multitude of verses, is like innumerable.
I see. That makes sense. No? That makes sense. It's not just a word of a glory, but along with the pastime and the singing and the okay.
Yes, like it is.
Yeah, Prabhuji continuing the pastime, repeatedly,
Krishna is-
continually pastime.
Krishna is showing different devotees depending upon their inclination. Krishna is showing a particular angle of vision. Each devotee, these such advanced devotees, very, very exalted devotees, they have a special angle of vision, that Krishna is showing to them, and through them we learn.
We see that.
All the acharyas that we are hearing, look at how much knowledge they are giving us, internal hidden meanings of these various verses, the stories behind stories, Look at that, the two faces of the Kaliya going through, and we are going to hear more about it. Actually, Kaliya was, Krishna took it as his serving devotion. In that anger also, he was serving him. The way he was, all these things I don't want to preempt Mataji's talk now, because a lot more exciting thing is coming tomorrow.
Yeah,
right,
but that makes sense now because see, for example, 18,000 verses of Bhagavatam, right? And then all these verses will have different vision, different interpretation. Like Lord Chaitanya could give so many different meanings of that Atmaram verse. So we're talking about Srishnag. Okay, now
I just got done with preparing Samatha Mataji's assignment on this, that Leela, Govardhan Leela. So much is there, so much in depth. When I was writing this thing and I was preparing, reading all these things, I just get amazed by that, really amazed. Each of those pastimes is so wonderful, so wonderful. And that Rasa Leela, you'll be hearing a lot more insight that you probably have never heard before.
Wonderful, Mataji. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Charu Prabhu, Sarat Prabhu, for really engaging us.
So Mataji, wonderful.
Thank you.
Like Prabhuji, you are asking about the glories of the Lord. Like it is said in Bhagavatam also, suppose it is possible to grind this complete universe into dust and then you employ very great personalities like Shiva, Brahma, the Kumara, the Narad Muni and all that to count the atoms. It says that I have heard it is possible to count the atoms in the complete universe. But if somebody tries to glorify the Lord, speak about his various qualities, it can never finish. That's why what Mataji was saying, Sheshnag has not been able to come anywhere near the close of it, end of it, and he will never reach the end because it has to be seen beyond time also. We know our lifetime is limited, but the Lord's the lifetime is so much, and Sheshanag has seen that till now, and it is unlimited. That's why it cannot be described only.
That's a very wonderful takeaway. Yes, thank you.
Sheshanag also told Vishnu, because Vishnu told him to hold the universe for unlimited time as long as he's speaking his glories. Then Sheshanag also said that I am holding this huge universe on my hoods, and I am in nowhere in the waters, that I have no support. So how will I go hold like this? Then the Lord says, okay, I will take Kurma avatar and I will go below you and support you. So in this way, the Anantashesh also got a chance of having Krishna by his side all the time.
Wow, so nice. So nice. Yes, that's a good takeaway. If we can, I was just thinking in my mind, like if we can take one glory, one pastime of our Lord every day, contemplate on that, then I think our life will be successful. So wonderful, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Then there is another point, just I will touch it only, I will not discuss in slide 21. It talks of the contradictory qualities. Now please remember that these contradictory qualities the Lord only can have. We cannot have, we can have only one quality, this or that. But the contradictory qualities like say big, small, far, near, hard, soft, like all these qualities, the contradictory qualities only the Supreme Lord can have. Then the next is when it happened, this Kalyadaman Leela, when Krishna was in his 5th year, that means he was 4 years plus. So other things, now time is over, we can discuss tomorrow. We will have Mataji's first part of the lesson. Then when the break is there, we will have the skit. Then after the skit, we will have a question answer time of 10-15 minutes, and we will finish in about total 30 minutes or little less. And that time we can have the questions. I'll request everybody to go through the slide numbers 9, 10, 11, 12 especially.
Lesson 51. Lesson 51.
Lesson 51, yes.
Tomorrow's lesson, slides 9, 10, 11 and 12, which I will not be covering. 9, 10, 11 and 12 are the skit, which will be covered by Sharad Prabhu and other devotees. And after the skit, again, I will continue my presentation from slide 13 onwards. So in between, the skit.
I'll request the devotees, please go through the slides. Like in today's class, many of the things you cannot retain unless one has gone through the slides earlier. Because these are very, very deep philosophies, and we are going much deeper into it than what is generally spoken or taught anywhere.
So I thought that once you go through the slides, what happens is we understand, like, let's say maybe 80% of the slides are very, very clear that we can understand everything. But there are 20% of the slides which we feel that we don't understand what is happening here. What does it mean? So we can focus on that when the person is presenting, whoever is presenting, and if we note down these points which we had difficulty in understanding, and at that point of time when the presenter is presenting, and you can understand exactly what is meant by that slide. So if we do this, then it will be very easy for us to understand. Otherwise, even after the presentation is over, we'll be unable to recollect what we had actually heard.
But the way we have been doing recapping, that also helps a lot actually. Doing recapping.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you all very much. So let's once again we congratulate Archana Mataji for really helping us to understand this thing. Thank you, Archana Mataji. No, but I can never ever thank you enough really for this,
Oh,
So
I'm sure
let's conclude the class now. Already we have 5 minutes over. Thank you, Mataji, once again.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for it.
Thank you, Mataji.
Namaste Narasimha Praladadaine Praladadaine Hiranyakashipurvaksha Hiranyakashipurvaksha Shilatankanakalaye Shilatankanakalaye Ito Nrsimho Parato Nrsimho Ito Nrsimho Parato Nrsimho Yato Yato Yamitato Nrsimho Yato Yato Yamitato Nrsimho Vahi Nrsimho Hridaye Nrsimho Vahi Nrsimho Hridaye Nrsimho Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapati Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapati Tavakara Kamalavare Madbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipo Tanubringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipo Tanubringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Bhakti Vignana Shri Lakshmi Nrsimha Bhagwan ki Jai Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava. Thank you everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you all, everyone. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Jai Shri Prabhupada, Jai Shri Prabhupada, Govinda Mahadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami. So we'll see you tomorrow. Very exciting that skit play we are going to play. Thank you. Sarkaji, you have some last words?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. We'll be discussing about very many things tomorrow. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank
Archana Mataji, thank you very much. It is too good.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you,
Thank
Mataji.
you,
Thank you,
Mataji.
Sharad
Ashna
Prabhuji.
Mataji,
Thank you,
Dandavat
Chandra
Pranam.
Bhai.
So wonderful class. So wonderful class.
Very wonderful
Thank you,
class.
Charu Prabhuji, Sharad Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Dandavat
Prabhu.
Pranam to all.
Thank you,
Thank
Mataji.
you, Bhaiji. Thank you, Shri Prabhuji. Thank you,
Thank you,
Mataji.
Prabhuji.
Again.
Haribol, thank you.
Oh.
Can wait tomorrow.
Yes.
Vinod Prabhuji, I'll send the